we can control one thing, and that is winning tonight. And we can't control what everybody else has to do for us. So win tonight and just have a little bit of faith, and then hopefully we can sneak into one of those last 3 spots.
We're 5-4, hoping for a playoff spot. So we wanted to play for our brothers. My bro Ricky couldn't play today, so we had to play for him and make sure we could get a game next Tuesday.
He's open.
Can you, with a straight face, say, let's go Cromwell?
Yes, please, for the love of God, let's go Cromwell.
Cromwell, you guys gotta come through for us. Pequot, let's get in the Class S, Class SS playoffs.
Winning this is definitely huge for us. Greenwich, I believe, is losing right now, or maybe have lost. They lost to Staples, so that could mess up with the standings a lot. So we could be at the top, we could be number 2. We definitely want the 2 home games in the playoffs, so it just panned out in our way.
Yeah, it won't hurt quite as bad. I mean, obviously you still want to win on Thanksgiving and all of that, but at the end of the day, obviously, to get some more days with these seniors and with that room, that's the most important thing for me. They're a tremendous group, and you want to be in the room with them. You want to be around them, and I think, if it truly is that way and falls that way, then I'm just really, really excited to be able to spend some time with those guys.
Number 1, we got to get recovery, see who we're going to play, and get on and prepare exactly the way that we need to, that we've been doing every week. Everyone's going to be banged up right now. It's the meat grinder, no pun intended there, but it's a quick turnaround. So we just got to get our guys healthy and get ready to play.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Meat Grinder, your weekly dose of high school football in Connecticut. And I'm your host, John Patrick Foley, and with me for the second time in a week is Pete McGuaga. Peter, what's going on? Happy Thanksgiving and happy state playoff time.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, happy state playoff time. Yes, second time in a week, and we might be doing 3 in like 9 days. So it's
just like the teams, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. We are working just as hard as the football teams, clearly. But no, this is crunch time. We're here. Like, this is it. This is the sprint now. The last 12 weeks have been a marathon, and this is the last sprint to the finish line.
As Southington coach Mike Drury called it, the meat grinder, no pun intended, at the top of the show. You heard some of the scenes from Thanksgiving Day, some of the wild games that happened. I mean, Thanksgiving is just the greatest Connecticut sporting day on the calendar. I stand by that. Don't ever get rid of it, CIAC. I know what you're doing. Don't get rid of it. It's amazing. Even with what you have done to the playoffs, 6 watered-down divisions. Still, I'm excited to see what happens. Lots of good games, lots of interesting matchups. But we only had a handful of spots up for grabs because everything was taken up beforehand. But, there was still some intrigue to be had, thank God. And it all kind of started Tuesday night. We knew what we needed. There was only about 11 spots open as we headed in down the stretch of the season. And on a Tuesday night, it was basically... it was New Milford gets in with their big win over New Fairfield. Bronson and the guys and Sean Murray, a great job by them, beating New Fairfield 27-14 in a great game, that first ever playoff, so that's good for them. I was over at Valley Regional Old Lyme versus at HK. It was a win kind of get-in scenario for both of those teams because Valley Regional, Pete, they got hit by that forfeit loss that Hartford Public gave up to Rocky Hill. And now they were in a win-and-in situation. They went from a win-and-in situation to a lose, and you're in big trouble. And as it turned out, they would have been in big trouble. But D'Angelo, Jean-Pierre, and at Valley Regional take care of business, beating HK and essentially knocking them for the playoffs. And then they turn around. They all say, Cromwell, please, our buddies, like D'Angelo, our buddies, will you please beat Rocky Hill tomorrow night and bring us with you into the Class SS playoffs. So that was pretty wild.
Let's go Cromwell.
Yes, please, for the love of God, let's go Cromwell.
Cromwell, you guys got to come through for us. You know, Pequot, let's get in the Class SS playoffs. You know, make the Pequot not seem like a weak conference that everyone thinks it is. You know, 2 Pequot teams and we battle it out.
You just really hope if you're Cromwell Portland in Double S that maybe you avoid Valley Regional, because if they meet in the finals, like all that, I mean, that's a storyline right there. If Valley Regional and Cromwell Portland both get to the finals, where it's like, Cromwell Portland, your fault. This is your fault they're here. That would be wild.
Valley Regional Pete coming back to beat them in the state championship. Although I don't know, are they in the same bracket?
No, they're on opposite
sides,
so they could meet in the finals.
They can meet in the final. That would be epic. I don't know if it happens, but you guys had your chance. You should have knocked them out. But that was a Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night, we had Newtown Massac. We all thought Massac was going to win that. Newtown gave them the business. Smoked them. But it might have helped Massac in the long run. We'll talk about that in a second. But obviously we talked about Cromwell Portland, and it was no contest. Valley Regional didn't even have to worry. It was no contest from the jump. They returned to kickoff for a touchdown by the freshman, Tyler Sapola, the freshman, returned the kickoff for a touchdown. And then you saw Alex Hare with a couple of touchdown runs. Great to see him back. And then Jack Nolan caught a couple of TD passes. Cole Brisson. And that was it. 38-7. Cromwell Portland goes into the playoffs after their loss. On a high, the defending champs are right there back at the top as the #1 seed. Meanwhile, Guilford had a win-and-in situation playing host to Hand, who they hadn't beaten the Tigers since 2006. And, well, they're going to have to wait another year because they could not stop junior Aiden Dolan, who scored 3 touchdowns on the ground, and Hand only threw 6 times with the sophomore quarterback. Tyler Narachi scored the go-ahead TD run from 58 yards out, and that was basically that. Guilford got within 21-17 on a Hail Mary pass, but then Hand just basically put it away with Dolan in the second half. And Tier 1 Hand, which realistically was one or two wins away from actually crashing the party in Class M, it all broke out because Class M did not have very good teams. Brantford, by the way, gets in at 5-5. So if Hand had a couple more wins there, they would have gotten in that spot, would have crashed the party. But it was a down year for Coach Eric Becker and the guys, but that they did not at least suffer a defeat to Guilford, which would have really kind of made their offseason kind of miserable. But they'll be back next year, I'm sure. But that knocked Guilford out of the running. Over at Raftery Stadium in Fairfield, Fairfield Prep just continues to have just an amazing second 3 quarters of the season with a 21-6 victory over number 1 West Haven. Just absolutely burying them 21-6. The Westies just did not have a chance against the Jesuits, and they go in with not just the SEC Tier 1 trophy, but the overall SEC trophy. The Jesuits do, and they go into the playoffs. They get the 5 seed, so that'll be really interesting to see. But I was shocked by West Haven, Pete.
We talked about West Haven and Hampton this year, and the schedule doesn't matter. Like, these are good teams. They've played, obviously, a harder schedule, but here they are. This is how good they are. And then they get to number 1. We were fighting for them to be number 1. We're screaming on this podcast. They're the number 1 team. That lasted 3 days.
Yeah. Maybe the voters were wrong.
Yeah, maybe the voters were right. Maybe we were wrong. I don't know. It's just... Prep's playing awesome. I got to see Prep against North Haven, and they're a really good team. And I think West Haven's still going to, do some things in the playoffs. But, not great. It was a little disheartening to see them just not be in that game.
Yeah, West Haven turned the ball over on downs twice inside the Fairfield Prep 10. So they certainly had their chances.
There was a lot of that this weekend, or this week.
Well, definitely, especially on Thanksgiving morning when I was there. But on Wednesday night, the teams that also clinched were North Haven beating up on Amity to get in Class Double M. Barlow beat Weston to get into Class Double S. You were at that game. They went off.
Danny Shaben.
Yeah.
He, like the kids say, he is him.
Yeah. And then North Brantford got just enough points thanks to Stafford, right? They played and beat Stafford, where HK had to play and beat Coventry. Otherwise they had identical schedules. HK beat North Brantford, but North Brantford gets in by 15 points because Stafford had just enough better record than Coventry did, and that is why HK is out and not North Brantford. North Brantford gets in by the hair of their chinny chin chins. And, that's why I hate the point system, because, it's like the Shelton NFA thing. Wait, did we beat these guys?
Yeah, but didn't they fix it?
No, they didn't fix it. They just added more playoff. Yeah, let's add more playoff divisions. That'll fix it. No. So I hate this. Not more math, less math. Not more divisions, less divisions. Please, figure it out. But that left 7 spots remaining on Thanksgiving morning. And, there were some crazy games we have to talk about, but that really didn't have an impact on the overall seeding. What did happen was Platt lost to Maloney in this starter bowl, which allowed Wilton, Pete, to get in 7-3. They haven't played since November 10th. These kids even know what a football looks like at this point.
19 days off in between games it's going to be. I mean, look, Wilton, they have a lot of multi-sport athletes. Like, how many kids are playing basketball? How many kids are getting ready for indoor track? Like, how many of them still have their pads? Like, what were they doing? Yeah. Leading in, like, were they still meeting? Were they still having practice? Like, obviously they were still alive, but it's very fascinating. Like, it's just makes
playing football, and the next year getting ready for lacrosse season. Like, wait, hold on a second, you got football season.
Yeah, you have like another week of practice.
I wonder I wonder what they're doing. Were you playing basketball? Were you practicing lacrosse? Who knows? But Wilton does get in for the second time since 2019.
Yeah, second time in 3 seasons. They made in 2019, like by the hair of their chinny chins, with Matt Goldman, our guy, and then they lost. They didn't make it last year, even though we thought they probably should have gotten in last year, and then they made it this year. So
that's the way the points roll, man. It all depends. It's all relative to what everyone does. But so Platt lost to Middletown, lost to Maloney to get in there. Hartford Public, meanwhile, smoked Weaver to get in to the playoffs there, the Class M playoffs, and then Brantford smoked East Haven, and they became the first 5-5 team to qualify for the state playoffs. And Brantford's John Malone. We haven't talked to him at all this season, but he's basically saying, like, look, it's not the season we wanted to have 5-5, but you know what? We will take this, and we will see what happens. They get Berlin to start the M playoffs. So who knows? They put up a fight versus Killingly, remember, last year in the semifinals. So who knows? Maybe Brantford shows up. Tough schedule versus Berlin, but we'll see what happens there. Elsewhere, Gilbert qualified in double S. Freddie Camp went off, routed St. Paul, left no doubt there. And that was only 1 spot remaining in Class SS, and Ledyard, despite a nutty 46-36 loss to Fitch, which was just wild.
Crazy.
Ed Griffin sending us texts with the play highlights from the day of the day's game coverage. Was this squared away with a failed squib kick?
It was like, I think they were trying for an onside kick, and the kicker didn't get enough of the ball.
He fell.
He slipped, and the ball kind of, he kicks the ball a little bit off the tee. Everyone's kind of standing around, and the Fitch kid picks it up. It's a live ball, and he just took it to the house.
It's amazing. But Ledyard, they could get in comfortably. Obviously, Rocky Hill was out, and a few of the other teams were out in double. So they got in comfortably. They're still the 8 seed. That's a dangerous 8 seed, Ledyard. They were 9-1 seconds ago, and James Green, great. That's just a hard matchup for them, Fitch. But that left us with Class L. There were 2 spots left and 3 teams basically battling for it. Shelton not playing Derby for the first time this year. They played Xavier to end their regular season.
Yes, everybody knew that but the Mayors.
Yeah, that's right. If you watch Chaz and AJ and WPLR at Wednesday morning, they all still thought that Derby played Shelton. I mean, Chaz is a Shelton guy, and they're calling the Mayors up to do a Thanksgiving Day spot, and neither of them knew why. I think the Derby Mayor knew that they weren't playing. I think Loretti, the Shelton Mayor, found out the night before when he was at the Xavier game. Oh, wait a minute, he can't play.
Him and 45 other people at the Shelton Xavier game. That includes myself and Mike Fornabano.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nobody showed up to that one.
No, there was no one there. Look, the student section for Shelton was great, but it was just like a regular game. There was no pomp and circumstance,
which is a shame. I mean, look, I sympathize with those guys. Chaz on WPLR was just like, "What? How could you?" and I'm with them to a point. I'm with them like, how can you not have a Thanksgiving Day game? But like Derby, the time is well past.
Yeah.
And,
you know what? Benefited Shelton this year.
Right. Shelton for years have been trying to get an exception since Derby left the SEC, because Derby would always leave them with only 70 points. They would lose 30 points just by playing Derby, and they might not have gotten in. They would have been Darien getting in instead, but we'll get to that in a second. So Shelton was sitting there playing a waiting game. They had guys all the way over at Darien watching New Canaan play. I'm over at Cheshire, Southington. Cheshire in a win and get in scenario. And, well, they were kind of asleep for three quarters. Or at least Southington's defense put them to sleep. And what a great day for Southington. The whole team had the flu, according to Mike Drury. And everybody was waking up sick, and it was like touch and go who was going to play or not. But a guy who had a great day was a junior, Raphael Williams, who caught a touchdown pass and put him up 14-0 at the break, which kind of really broke Cheshire's back because they were getting nothing going. They were turning the ball over on downs twice, as you said, in Southington territory. Then in the second half, he caught a little screen pass, took it down to the 28-yard line, and then your boy Lincoln Cardillo caught a great pass from Di Benedetto from there, 21-0. You think that's it? Sorry, it's going to be scoreboard watching time for Cheshire. But they did wake up. Matt Jeffrey, who's just ridiculous. He scores a touchdown. They get an onside kick recovery. He scores again. And suddenly, Cheshire gets the ball back with 2.5 minutes left. And, well, Southington's defense backed him up. And then there is our guy, Williams, again, picking off a pass, bringing it down to the 2. And then that was it for the Apple Valley Classic. Southington would go on to get the number 1 seed. They were following that crazy Greenwich Staples game on their phones. But meanwhile, I'm stuck there with Coach Don Drust of Cheshire. He's hovering over me. He's like, all right, what do we need? What do we need? Like, tell me what we need. I'm going to have a heart attack. He's like pacing. He's like an expected father. And, I'm like, I'm under pressure. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to read my own thing. And I got Steve Trefone, the AD, is going to retire. They announced he was going to retire after the school year. But he's hovering over me. They're all trying to figure out whether Cheshire was going to get in despite the loss. And so we're all trying to follow Darien versus New Canaan. That game was like crazy. Darien get down inside the 10-yard line of New Canaan. They have 4 cracks at the end zone, cannot get in, but they're only down 3 points. Why? Why did they kick the field goal, Pete? That was just,
I don't know,
wild.
Makes no sense.
It
makes it just doesn't make any sense. They would rather have
done that than go to. I guess they would rather win it there than go into the to overtime. But I mean, at least in overtime you can plan. Or very, very interesting call there by Mike Forget and his staff. I'm not gonna second guess it. Maybe they knew something that I don't. But it from the outset, from where I stood at Cheshire, it looked bizarre that they wouldn't kick that field goal and send this thing to overtime. You have several chances there instead of just one chance, and they didn't get the one chance. And then speaking of which, New Canaan almost could have given the ball back instead of running out of the end zone for a safety as time expired, which they wouldn't have kicked it. They ran up the field. They could have fumbled with all the kids running on the field and everything. It was nuts.
It would have been the band on the field.
Yeah,
it would have been the band on the field. It was crazy. It was chaotic. There was not to jump too far ahead to Double L, but Trumbull the same thing. They had a chance to kick like a 30-yard field goal, put them up against St. Joe's late in the game, but they went for it, got stopped, and St. Joe's went down the field and won the game. So a lot of interesting decisions.
I know high school kicking is kind of a touch and go thing. I mean, you got to really trust your guy.
Trumbull already hit a field goal in that game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the Darien kicker kicked the field goal during the game as well.
He did. It was it was 10. It was 13-10.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting there. So that right there gave Cheshire hope. And then what else happened? That the thing that put them in ultimately was Harding beating Central in the 100th playing of the Harding Central game in Bridgeport. That game put them in. Now I'm still there. I know that, and I'm trying to explain to Don Drust why Darien can't catch them. We're sitting because this year the CIAC did not do its live real-time playoff updates. They, for whatever reason, they didn't do it this year. Someone told me it might have been broken. I don't know. But I had to do the math quickly for him, and I had triple and quadruple check it because I did not want to send Don Drust back to his locker room. His kids were all heartbroken that they lost, to say, hey, you made the playoffs, and then turn around, George DeMayo's on the radio. No, that's it. Cheshire's out. You know, I didn't want that. I was confident, but I mean, like, look, I failed way too many math tests in my time to have that. So, but as it turned out, Cheshire did get in. Shelton did get in. Darien, for the first time since 2012, I believe, is out of the state playoffs. So kind of a lot of size of relief. We don't have to worry about Darien this year, defending Class L champs.
For a lot of teams, I've been putting together the capsules, and there's a lot of teams in L or double L, and their last playoff appearance was ended by Darien.
Yeah. Listen, Darien in the playoffs would have been a dangerous thing. We all know that. So, I mean, and they just cannot catch a break against New Canaan. So, you know, that was basically it for all the playoff teams. The two craziest games of the day didn't even have anything to do with playoffs other than seeding. I'll just touch on them real quick before we get to our picks, and we'll take a look at the brackets. Foreign and Law combined for nearly 1,000 yards of total offense. It was like 938 between Jack Cushman, who threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Law's John Neider, who just went buck wild. He accounted for 377 yards and 6 touchdowns himself. 2 in the air and 4 on the ground. My goodness. Foreign wins 60-29 with 19 unanswered points in the fourth quarter in front of just an overflow crowd, including, apparently, Logan Paul, the internet star.
Yeah, that was wild. I guess his manager / like really good friend is a foreign grad. So that's why, according to all the people in our comment section on Instagram filling us in, because I had no idea.
Somebody tweeted at me on Wednesday night, and it was like SPV's nemesis. So I don't know if I was about to trust him. But I'm 40, you know, I'm like in the mid-40s. I don't know who this is. I don't know. Logan Paul.
I mean, I know who he is. I just don't I think it's a little past me or a little behind me in terms of age. Like, I know who he is, but I mean, that's really cool. It seems like the fans were all about it. So that was really exciting. But I mean, the real star of that game was John Neider. I mean, this is a guy I've been screaming about on this show ever since I saw him last year. I got us to put him on the 25 to watch. I had him on my quarterbacks list. I mean, he is a dual threat, and, you know, dominant win over Foreign makes Law a very, very scary team in Class M.
Yeah, just a wild game by them. And then the last one was just the ridiculousness over in Westport, Staples, and Greenwich. 7 lead changes in the game, including like 3 times in the last 2.5 minutes. Staples is up 32, I believe, to 23 with about 2 minutes and change left when Greenwich scores. Jack Wilson throws a 20-yard touchdown pass to Charlie Dixon to get within 32-30 with 2.5 minutes left. Then they force a punt, and then a 51-yard run by George Vamalakis gave Greenwich a 38-32 lead with 1:49 remaining, right? Game over. No. Here comes our guy, Tyler Clark, who's having a ridiculous season for Staples, returns the kickoff back to midfield to set up the winning touchdown. Caleb Smith, 11 yards to Will Hollerman with 1:06 left. Staples beat Greenwich for the first time since like 2016 or something like that, and gets into the state playoffs for your guy, Adam Barron's, you know, first guy since Mars to get into the state playoffs for Staples. So congratulations to them. I mean, who's the FCIAC champion? I guess them?
No, apparently everyone at St. Joe's was walking around saying that they were FCIAC champions. And that's is one thing I wanted to bring up, because I'm very confused, right? Because both teams have a loss in conference, right? Yep. And Staples as well. Staples losses to St. Joe's. St. Joe's losses to Greenwich. Greenwich's losses to Staples.
Right.
So how do you pick the...
They're all champs.
No, that's not what they were saying at St. Joe's.
You know, when the Ivy League, when they all, each team has a loss, they're all Ivy League champs. But St. Joe is the only, no, they can't be the sole FCIAC champ.
That's what they were telling me. Well, maybe I misheard, but I was very confused and I didn't understand how that worked.
If they give just a trophy to St. Joseph, I'm Staples, I'm Greenwich. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Or, I mean,
maybe not Staples, but Greenwich could be like, hey, wait a minute, we beat Staples. I mean, we beat St. Joe, didn't we? And
yeah,
Staples go, wait, we beat you.
Yeah.
And St. Joe go, wait, we beat you.
Exactly. It's like the Big 12 in like 2008 or 9 with Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech.
I'll sell this right now. Sense. You're all FCIAC champs, okay?
You know what?
You're all winners.
It doesn't change anything going forward.
Yeah, nobody cares. I'll be honest with you. When they had the FCIAC championship game back in the day, okay.
I mean, if let's just say hypothetically speaking, there's an FCIAC champion, right? One from the West, one from the East. Is that how that would work? Because it would have been New Canaan, right? Because New Canaan is the only 7-1 team in the East Division.
But they lost to St. Joe.
Yeah, and they lost to St. Joe.
I think New Canaan's got it. The problem with New Canaan is they didn't play the other teams.
Yeah, their schedule is just bad.
Yeah. So they're an iffy 9-1, but I'm sure they're anxious to prove me wrong. But that's it. That was the craziness of Thanksgiving Day. Again, a lot of this wasn't winning in stuff like I'm used to, and and I've said it a gazillion times. There are far too many teams in the state playoffs. A 5-5 team getting in. Even some of these 6-4 teams, you kind of roll your eyes at it a bit. We are at least one too many divisions. You want to make a tech division / co-op division. I'm all for it. Seeing a lot of coaches I talk to seem to be all for that. Yeah. 4 divisions of normal and then a tech / co-op division. That'll be a 30-team division or so. This is just a mess. The CIAC I know loves it, or certain guys at CIAC love it. They think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. They have some 2 state playoff venues that colleges to pay for. So anyway, so that's where we are, Pete. Long roundabout way of saying who's in the divisions here. We're just going to rip through these because it is a Saturday night and I am still in a food coma. But it was a good Thanksgiving. So here we go. We're going to kind of go bottom up here and talk about who we think is going to win and lose in the divisions. I'm going to send it over to Pete because this is another hybrid Petey's Page Views Pick'em podcast. Pete, what do you got?
Oh, just quickly, I went 7-13 on Thanksgiving week, and I have fallen all the way down the standings.
Can't get up.
I'm bad. Dude, luckily Scott Erickson's having a way worse season than I am, but I'm out of it. I'm 11 games back.
Wow. Of me.
Of you and Fornabayo. I'm 11 games back. McNamee has fallen out of it. You and Fornabayo are tied at the top, 92-38, and Dave Stewart's in third at 91-39. One of you or Forno or Stewart needs to figure out who the champion is because the tiebreaker was regular season record and you and Fornabayo were tied, and I'm not buying another ugly trophy. So, hopefully one of you...
I want to thank Fairfield Prep for coming through for me on that pick. There was another pick out there. I did not get Newtown Massive right, but there was another one out there. I was like, boy.
Yeah, I took far too many risks.
I took some risks too, and they actually came through for me.
I took some aggressive risk. I was the only one who took Trumbull. I'm the only one who took Platt. It did not go well for me.
Yeah.
Here we are. Hey, let's remember I did go 16-0 in the quarterfinals last year. Back going into Class S, here are the matchups. Number 8 North Branford at number 1 Ansonia. Number 5 East Catholic at number 4 Woodland. Number 6 New Fairfield at number 3 Holy Cross, and number 7 Seymour at number 2 Bloomfield. That's the Class S field.
That's pretty good. I mean, look, it's the NVL Invitational. You got Ansonia up the top, and then some of the best NVL teams. And then you have East Catholic and Bloomfield kind of bringing up the rear there for the CCC, and then New Fairfield, which is back, and North Branford, your lone Pequot representative. But let's pick these Pete.
All right, yeah, we're gonna start in Class S. We got number 8 North Branford coming in, clinching last week. They're going to Jarvis to play Ansonia's 10-0. Ansonia beat Naugatuck on Thanksgiving. North Branford comes in with Tommy Hansen. We are big fans of Tommy Hansen on this show. Then over Ansonia, Cassetti had a great game against Naugatuck. Ansonia hasn't lost a first round playoff game or whatever, whether it's a quarter or a semifinal, since 2009, which is just insane. But Sean, who do you like? Ansonia, North Branford?
This is a rematch of that 2012 with Mark Basil's son at quarterback. The 2012 championship at Rensselaer Field. But he said North Branford was going to get in the playoffs, or said it was going to be good enough to get in the playoffs this year. And sure enough, here they are, 6-4. But I'm going with Ansonia here. Ansonia does not lose at Jarvis Stadium in the state playoffs unless Bloomfield.
Or Cromwell, Portland.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think
that was
at Pearson. Sheehan beat them though. Well, that was at Derby, but it wasn't Ansonia home game.
It was. But anyway, I'm taking the Chargers.
All right, gonna move down. We got East Catholic coming in at 7-3. They got Woodland 8-2. Woodland still kind of trying to figure out how good they really are. Lost to Ansonia, lost to Naugatuck, but they beat
Beat
Holy
Seymour.
Cross, and they beat Seymour. I'm going to go with Woodland in this game. I'm just going to go with Woodland. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Woodland too. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to rip through these numbers. We got number 6, New Fairfield, going on the road to Holy Cross. New Fairfield, come on, Rebels. I've been picking you. I picked you guys against New Milford. You let me down. Everyone else took New Milford. They were right. One of my Thanksgiving losses. They got Holy Cross, who's number 3. Holy Cross with losses to Woodland and Ansonia. I'm going to get hurt again. I'm going with the Rebels. I think New Fairfield, they played well against New Milford in the Thanksgiving week game. They looked really good against Newtown. Just got tired at the end. So I'm going with the Rebels.
Pete, if you recall, they played this game last year. And what happened?
Oh, they did play. This is a rematch.
And New Fairfield beat the heck out. Now, I would think Holy Cross would learn some lessons, come back and give New Fairfield a business, and maybe that might happen. But I don't think so. I'm harkening back to the old days when the SWC went like 12-1 against the NVL. I don't see that changing any bit. I'm going with the Rebels too, Pete. I'm going to take them to go to the second round or the quarterfinals.
Semifinals. All right, we got another NVL team. In the last game of Class S, we got number 7,
they feel
Seymour.
Like this game is played every year.
Seymour at Bloomfield. Going up to Phil Rubin Stadium. Sean, who do you like?
I just saw Bloomfield. They got a ton of athletes. Kurz and Darien Foster. I mean, Davian Kerr is just a ridiculous, just freak athlete on both sides of the ball. He is a game changer. But I'm gonna go with the Warhawks. They're easy. Seymour comes in this. Drezik is a good quarterback. He clearly can do some things, but I think Bloomfield has got the athletes to defend the pass on this one, so I'm going with the Warhawks.
Yeah, I'm going with Bloomfield as well. I know they don't like, or they think I don't like them up there, but I like Bloomfield here. Though it would be interesting if all 4 NVL teams won. It would be all NVL Final 4 and an all NVL Final. No, neither do I. I don't have any faith. I don't have any faith in any NVL team that's not Ansonia when it comes to the playoffs. All right, now here's the Class SS field. We got number 8 Ledyard, who Sean mentioned before, got in by the hair on their chinny chin chin. They're going to...
My mom used to always say that.
They're going to Pearson Park to play the number 1 seed in the reigning Class S champs, number 1 Cromwell Portland. Joel Barlow and Danny Shaben are the number 5 seed. They are going to Granby Canton, who is the number 4 seed.
Ooh, Luke Marin versus
Marin versus Danny Shaben.
Yeah,
I'd buy tickets to see that.
Yeah, let's get your tickets.
We don't have to buy tickets, but I would buy a ticket. All right, now we got number 6 Valley Regional Old Lyme going up to Foreign to play the number 3 Lions. And then the last game of Class SS, we got number 7 Gilbert Northwestern Housatonic.
Wow.
Say that 3 times fast. They're going up to Wyndham to play the Whippets, but they're not going to Wyndham. They will be going to Stores because Ferigno Field is still not ready for Wyndham, so they will be hosting their game at E.O. Smith.
That's it's the It's the Pequot versus the ECC here, right? Basically,
and Barlow.
And Barlow, but it's the old Pequot and the current Pequot, and they got Foreign in there. I think this is even better than Class S. This division of the two of them, I like this one's pretty strong.
Yeah, I like it, and I like that my Class SS pick is still alive. But we'll get to them when we get to their game. Right at the top, we got number 8 Ledyard. Like I said, going to number 1 Cromwell Portland, the defending champs. Sean, we talk about James Green a lot on this show. We talk about Cole Brisson a lot on this show. Alex Hare's back. Emeka Yearwood. There are dudes all over this field. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going to go with Cromwell Portland here, the defending champs. I think James Green is great. He's he can kind of be a one-man band there, and Cromwell Portland's just got all sorts of guys. And Alex Hare getting back is huge for them. Now it might give Cromwell Portland the running game they've been sorely lacking this entire year. Maybe free up Emeka Yearwood and Cole Brisson do their things. I mean, obviously, and all those guys there. It's been great. I think they're going to advance pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with Cromwell Portland on this one, but James Green is really a really good player, but kind of, like you said, one-man bandage. All right, number 5, Joel Barlow, led by Danny Shaben, going to Granby Canton. Luke Marr, Will Attenese, Really good team up there. I think this is Granby's like 3rd or 4th season in a row making the playoffs.
Yeah, great
This
job,
co-op,
those guys.
this co-op has been a
Shortle,
really
like Coach Shortle and those guys. Yeah.
this co-op has been really good for those two schools. But unfortunately for them, they are running into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, this is
Danny
a buzzsaw.
Shaben. Yeah, I almost typed in Danny Shaben under my pick instead of Barlow. I'm going with Barlow, and I'm going because of Danny. I got to see him
Finally.
Tuesday. Yes, finally. I got to see him Tuesday at Weston, and man, what a performance he put on. 5 rushing touchdowns. He even threw a touchdown. Could have had a second touchdown pass. It was a little out of reach of his wide receiver who came up with cramping after. So maybe full strength, that's another touchdown. Threw in a sack on defense. He's a really good linebacker. We talk about him running the ball and the crazy numbers, but he rushed for 302. No question for me. I'm picking Barlow until they're out. If they're out, I'm going with Barlow.
Yeah, you might remember this. The last time Barlow played a Pequot team, I believe, in the state playoffs, or at least when Jack Shaben was there, he ran all over Gilbert Northwestern. It was not even close.
2013, and I believe it was at Central Connecticut State University.
I think this Granby team is much better than that team. I still think they're going to have their hands full with Barlow's option. Luke Mayer is great. Even Will Migliaccio, the quarterback, has been really good. He's going to be playing in college somewhere. It's a good Granby Canton team. I don't see them having an answer for Barlow. If they do, then my hat will be off to them. But containing that offense, even when Shaben doesn't do well, they still have plenty of guys running.
Yeah, they had a couple guys. Dylan
on him.
Taylor
You're going to get
good.
hurt.
Yeah,
Barlow all the way.
Absolutely. All right, next one. We got number 6, Valley Regional Old Lyme. They're going to Milford to play 4-4, and the Lions are licking their wounds after a loss to Jonathan Law on Thanksgiving in front of Logan Paul. I mean, this one's kind of tough. Of the games that we've picked so far, I'm really kind of torn because Valley's playing really well, and Valley's got a lot of good guys. Just because Foreign didn't play well on Thanksgiving, they still won 9 games. They still have guys, but it's your turn to pick first, Sean. So you get to go.
It's going to be basically Cushman versus D'Angelo Jean-Pierre, and who can stop who, the other guys. I just think I'm having a real hard time as well. I'm still not sure who I'm going to pick, but I think I'm going to go with Foreign here just because I think they have...
Et tu.
Huh?
Et tu, Sean.
What's that?
Isn't it et tu? Or et tu, Brutus, or whatever? I don't know.
Et tu, Brute from...
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm going to go with Foreign. I hate to say SEC, greater than Pequot here, but I just think Foreign, after that shellacking they got against Law, they were right in it, though, up until the 4th quarter. They totally got gassed. I still think that they have just enough weapons to outlast Valley. I think Valley is going to be good, but I think Foreign, Foreign's going to do a good job here. I'm going to take the Lions.
I'm taking Foreign too. I just thought you were going to shame me into it because you've been all over Valley this year, so I'm kind of surprised.
I've seen more Valley games 2 or 3 than I have Foreign games 0.
It's fair. All right, I'm going with
a lot of
Foreign.
Good things about Foreign, so Valley proved me wrong.
All right, we're going to the last game of Class SS. We got number 7 Gilbert Northwestern Housatonic. They're going up to Stores to play Wyndham, the Whippets. Right, these are 2 very similar teams. They both love to run the ball. They both have really good running backs in Freddie Camp and Victor Meja. They both have really elusive, quick quarterbacks in Nolan Reisdorf and Zach Robinson-Smythe.
Is it Smythe or Smay?
I believe it's Smay. I think I mispronounced it. But, I mean, these teams are going to be fun. If you're, Ned Griffin, go to this game. This is right up your alley. There's not going to be many passes in it. This game's going to go real fast. But I'm going to go with Wyndham. I'm gonna ride the Road Warriors. They are 9-1 this year, and they're 9-1 on the road. I'm going with the Whippets.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Whippets too. I know Gilbert Northwestern. I saw him actually play. I saw him play with Crosby, and Crosby scored a lot on him that day with the Pats. Granted, but they certainly scored a lot. I think Wyndham just has way too many weapons. Gilbert Northwestern Housatonic has weapons too. They have Freddie Camp, who's just been amazing this year. Got him to this point. For the last 2 years, 2 playoff back-to-back seasons, by the way. It's not bad for Coach Lewis and the guys. But I'm just going to go with Wyndham. I think Wyndham has been a team we've been on the lookout for all year long. I like the Whippets.
All right. Me too. All right, we're going to go to Class M. So let's run down the matchups in Class M. We got number 8 Brantford going to number 1 Berlin. Number 5 ATI going to Rockville, who's number 4. Number 6 Ram, my boys, up in Rockville. And then we got number 6 Ram going to Law, who's the number 3 seed. Then we have number 7 Hartford Public. They're going to Veterans Stadium to play the number 2 Notre Dame West Haven Green Knights.
This division, Pete, I just feel like is one of those divisions. Like, do we need this division?
No.
I mean, Berlin is very good. You know, obviously Notre Dame playing SEC Tier 1 schedule is very good, 7-3. But then you get down to like, all right, Rockville, Law, Hartford Public at 6-4. I don't, do we need that? Ram at 7-3 has been okay, but against good teams, they kind of got smoked a bit. I saw them against Bloomfield. There was no contest. There was another game in there too. This is one of those divisions. You have Brantford sitting there 5-5. So again, this is where you start to see the 6th division thing kind of come through. Notre Dame, I've said it all year long that I declared them the champion here. Berlin's giving me crap about that. All right, Berlin, you guys are on opposite sides of the bracket. Let's see this happen. Let's see it happen. But that's where I stand on Class M. It's been a kind of a mess all year.
Yeah, and just speaking of Ram, the other game you were talking about was Platt.
Right, Platt.
Back-to-back games, they were outscored 97-7.
That's right.
So
listen, good team, but yeah, are they a playoff team? It's kind of what you're looking at.
Exactly. So, well, we're going to be able to pick their game. All right, so we're going to start at the top. We got Brantford coming in at 5-5, going to Berlin, who's 10-0. I'm getting crap from my former college roommate. He lives in Berlin now. It's like, I don't understand how they're not voted in the top 10. I was like, well, haven't really played anybody. Bloomfield is their biggest win. They're a much bigger school than Bloomfield. But they're taking the games that are ahead of them, and they're winning. There's nothing you could say against it. And they get Brantford, who's coming in at 5-5. Look, Brantford is a good program. It hasn't been the best year. They lost their best player in the first week of the season, in Nate Schifo, and here they are at 5-5. They went to the semifinals last year. This is not the easiest first-round game. If I'm Berlin and I'm looking at the rest of the teams in this bracket, or on the bottom end of the bracket, like out of Brantford, ATI, Ram, and Hartford Public, I wouldn't want Brantford out of those 4 teams.
Despite them playing Tier 3, I say that it's really tough to pick against SEC teams when they get to the playoffs. It really is. I mean, I know they haven't had the state champions have been kind of elusive for them over the last few years, but I still think this is going to be a tough. They gave Killingly everything they could handle, and they weren't supposed to in the semifinals last year. I just think Brantford not quite ready for primetime here. I'm going to go with Berlin, but as you said, I think it's going to be a tougher game than people might think.
Yeah, I like to think that I'm like a risky guy, but I'm going to go with Berlin in this game. Berlin's good. They got a lot of different weapons, a lot of guys who can do well with the ball in their hands. They don't have one standout guy, which kind of makes them dangerous in a way. But, I just think that game's going to be really, really, really good. And I honestly could see it going either way. But I'm going to go with Berlin as well. All right, we got ATI coming in at 8-2. They're going up to Rockville. The Rams, they went to the Class M finals last year. A lot of new faces. Malachi Mop is still back. He's playing running back now as well as linebacker. Son Green's really good.
Is it
ATI,
Mop or Map?
Map. Did I say Mop?
You keep saying Mop. I mean, I don't know. I think it's Map.
I'm sorry. I think it is Map. I apologize to Coach Knickerbocker and the rest of the Rams. But they got ATI. ATI, who we all picked to beat Northwest United.
Yeah, so much for that.
And that did not happen.
Yeah, we heard a lot from Jen Garzone, right?
Yeah, so we heard about that. So for that reason, ATI, you disappointed me. That said, I'm going with Rockville and anyway, but CTC teams are struggling in the playoffs. I don't believe they've ever won a playoff game. I know Capital Prep Achievement won the state championship in 2014, but they're not a tech school.
Right. So I guess it's hard. Teams from the tech league, right, haven't always been tech schools. Capital Prep wasn't a tech school. They were in the league, but they weren't. These co-op teams aren't technically tech schools. That's backed by Immaculate High School, which has got athletes. We know that.
Yeah.
So I don't think you really count that. That said, they do play in the CTC, which is not a strong conference. Just by looking at results, they played in the Alliance. They didn't I don't think they won a game really other than, I think, Bullard Havens beat Bridgeport Central, right?
Yeah.
That was it. So, in the playoffs, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different level. It's a whole different speed. Against Rockville, I don't think they're going to be matched pretty well against it. But who knows? We'll see. I'm going to take the Rams to get to the semis.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rockville as well. They're not dead yet. That's what I was told. Also, Thames River played, I believe, 2 Alliance games. That was against Plainfield and Montville.
I don't know. Plainfield wasn't an Alliance game, but Montville was. And
I'm saying non-CTC games.
Oh, right.
I apologize.
Gotcha.
And they outscored them 105-0.
Very good.
Yeah, so take that with what you will. All right, we're going to move on to the next game. We got Ram, who we talked about, and they got Law. I'll make this quick and easy. John Neider, all day, Law.
All day, every day. And, I think Max Nallen has had a great season for Ram. He really put up some big numbers in that record-breaking one game against Farmington. That was against Farmington, not Law. I'm going with Neider and the Lawman.
All right. We got number 7 Hartford Public going to play Notre Dame West Haven.
Here, Pete.
Yep. Sean's going with Notre Dame. You wouldn't even let me get it out.
Champions.
That's what I was going to say. I'm going to go with Notre Dame West Haven as well. All right. Here are the pairings.
That was a great game, by the way. They beating Hamden. An amazing performance. We didn't even talk about them in the Green Bowl, which also helped Cheshire get in. But that was a great job by the guys there beating Hamden 20. I know Hamden, kind of banged up a little bit because of the West Haven game, but good job. We said Notre Dame was going to go in there 5-5, maybe be the heart. Instead it's Brantford 5-5. Notre Dame goes in and said, "The heck with you guys. We're going to win at least 2 of our Final 4 games." They go in there 7-3 to really kind of puncture home stick it home that this Class M ain't for them.
Yeah, they're gonna win this division. All right. Class Double M, here are the matchups. We got number 8 Wilton going to number 1 SMSA, number 5 North Haven going to number 4 Thames River, number 6 Wethersfield going to number 3 Killingly, number 7 Massac going to Nanawac to play the number 2 Northwest United.
This is the second of the why are we doing this divisions. Again, like we've talked about, the CTC has got 3 reps here. They have 2 reps here at 10-0. We have a 10-0 SMSA from Pequot, which has been great with Danny Hernandez. But then you look at some of the teams that they're going to be facing, teams that with long playoff histories. I mean, even Wethersfield in there versus Killing is going to be tough. But those two teams, like, what do we get? But no. Massac, North Haven, and Wilton, already they're looking at heavy favorites in this one. This is another of those divisions. Like, do we need these teams in here? They've had great seasons. I don't know, Pete. We knew this was going to happen.
No,
Double M was going to be a Frankenstein division. And sure enough, here we are. It's kind of like upside down cake.
Yeah, the only good thing is that North Haven and Massac are on opposite sides of the bracket.
Indeed.
Just saying. All right, not to tip picks, but all right, right at the top we got Wilton SMSA. Danny Hernandez having an awesome season, like Sean said. I have been screaming this kid's name since week 1. This kid is legit. I think even in my preview, I was all about him. They're running into a well-rested Wilton team who plays in the very competitive FCIAC team. Wilton will have 19 days off between their last game and the game on Tuesday. Look, Kevin Quinn does such a great job at SMSA. They're having an unbelievable season, but I got to go with Wilton here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, FCIAC against any other league for the most part, with the exception of the SEC maybe, the SWC, and the CCC. I take the FCIAC every day and twice on Sunday against teams like the Pequot or even CTC. I think, like, it's men against boys. I hate to say it that way, but it's a whole different universe down in Fairfield County. And even some of the weaker FCIAC teams will have, when they get out of the league, man, it's like dropping the extra bat from the on-deck circle and hitting a home run. That's kind of like what we're looking at here, Wilton all day, every day. I think Hernandez has some great plays. Can't only keep him contained so long, but I think the rest of the team can have a lot of trouble, especially up front.
Yeah, it's like you said, they're all, if you're Wethersfield and Killingly, you're looking around and you're like, how did that happen? But we got next one up. We got number 5 North Haven going to number 4 Thames River. Thames River's having a great year. Ryan Outlaw's awesome. Seth Cunningham just went over 4,000 career rushing yards. What a great career. I'm going with North Haven.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Has Thames River seen anything like the single wing of North Haven? The answer is no. Maybe someone might run it out there I'm not aware of. And North Haven will be tough up front. The defense, maybe because of his sheer athleticism, the two of those guys, Cunningham and Outlaw, will break a TD run, possibly. But I see this North Haven just grounding the ball down, just beating them up front. And, remember, North Haven beat Platt 45-0. They beat Simsbury at 45-0 or something like that. Those are good, solid teams. And now Thames River is just it's going to be deer in headlights time at Grasso Tech.
Absolutely. All right, the big one in Double M, like we mentioned before, number 6 Wethersfield going to number 3 Killingley. Wethersfield,
but what
not
did
a great
to deserve this bowl?
Yeah, well, what did they do? They lost to Newington on Wednesday night.
Oh my God! Hey, that was my pick. Newington, shout out Newington. All right. Oh no, we didn't pick that game for the picks.
We didn't because it didn't have anything. It didn't have any playoff
I picked Newington to win. I would have nailed that one. I picked them on the capsules anyway. All right,
you did. All right. Well, Wethersfield didn't do itself any favors, losing on Thanksgiving Eve to Newington, and now they got Killingley. So you got to make your bet, or lay in the bed that you make, or whatever saying is. I'm really bad at sayings. Killingley 9-1. They've rebounded well off of. They got beat up by Wyndham, just beat up by Wyndham. And they've rallied to win out. They're 9-1. They get a home game in the playoffs, and they got Wethersfield. This one, kind of a coin flip. Sean, who do you like?
Does Wethersfield have their running back? Is he okay, or what happened there?
Jovan Hill.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't think Wethersfield hasn't updated their max for reps yet, so I couldn't tell you. A lot of teams haven't. It's been Thanksgiving.
The reason why I picked Newington is because Newington threw the ball a lot, and they could score. And I thought Wethersfield just really looked lethargic against Middletown in that game we saw 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I was really concerned. I mean, I like their quarterback. He's a good-looking kid. He's a baseball star, but he's only a sophomore. Is that right?
Only a sophomore.
And so I saw them doing a nice job with Janny Shaben and Barlow, even though they lost that game. At Killingley, I am loath to pick against Killingley right now. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with Killingley here, just barely. This is going to be one of the most competitive games probably of the playoffs, at least the first round. I think it's going to be tough. I think Killingley ekes this out with Drybolts, and those guys. I think they'll be okay here. But
yeah, this is
tough.
This is a team that won a state title last year, and a lot of these guys are back. You mentioned Tommy Drabel. We haven't talked about Soren Reef enough this year. I mean, he's doing what we expected. Ben Jacks, Keith Perry. They got a bunch of guys. I'm going with Killingley as well. Next one, we got Massac at Northwest United. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go with Massac.
Yeah, Northwest United got a nice shout out from Jets coach Robert Saylor, huh? On this had the shirt, maybe pump up the guys from Nonawag, and Garzone giving us the business for picking against them on Thanksgiving week against ATI. That was a great pump up from the Jets. They need that going into this game because Massac is, it's a blue blood team, as we would call it. They've played some tough competition this year. Don't even look at that Newtown game and say they just got blown out. No way. They gave St. Joe everything they could handle. They gave Trumbull everything they could handle. They came back and almost won that game. So Massac is very tough. Champaign, Dylan Jackson. We've said it a million times before. There's no way Massac loses this game. In fact, I remember back in the day when Nonawag first started a program, they were part of the SWC. And it was long before they had their nice facility, their turf field. Massac went up there and they were like, what is this? It's a cow pasture. And they beat them up. So I think this is the first time that they've played this team since they were part of the SWC, although it's a little different now. Now they are backed up by, the Wamogos and the Wilkett Techs of the world, but that's not going to be enough. Massac by a lot.
I agree. All right, we got 2 more divisions left. Should we take a break? I mean, there's just so many of these games. All right, we're gonna
Let's
little
go to
intermission.
Our sponsor.
Yeah.
In fact, if you do want to sponsor this show, by all means, let our advertising department know.
All right, the Class L matchups. Number 8, Cheshire at number 1, St. Joe's. This game will be played at Kennedy Stadium in Bridgeport. Number 5, Naugatuck at number 4, New Canaan. Number 6, New Milford at number 3, Maloney. And number 7, Shelton at number 2, Newtown. Let's start at the top. Cheshire, Sean, you just saw them. I just saw St. Joe's. St. Joe's has done everything that we said they wouldn't do this year. They weren't in the top 10 at the beginning of the year. We picked Darien to beat them. We picked Staples to beat them. They just keep winning. I mean, this is a total team effort from top to bottom. If it's not Jack Hill Martin, it's Ryan DeMarco. If it's not Riley Jordan, it's Will Sinjwal. If it's not Braden Hutchinson, it's Mickey yeah. If it's not Brandon Hutchinson, it's Mickey Covino who caught 2 touchdowns. And then if it comes down to it, it's Logan Spolstra kicking field goals. I mean, this St. Joe's team doesn't have one star. Okay, they just have a lot of guys who are focused on one goal. Cheshire's banged up. You saw them on Thursday on Thanksgiving. I'm going to go with St. Joe's. It took 10 weeks. But I'm giving in, and I'm picking St. Joe's in a game this year to beat Cheshire in the first round of the playoffs. Sean, who do you got?
Let me just first say that this is actually, I remember it said this was going to be the toughest division of all the playoff teams. When I did a preseason look at all the 6 divisions, I was trying to pick apart some of them and say, why do we need this? Why do we need this? This actually did not fall, everyone was looking at it, did not fall out the way people thought it would, but Darien did not have a great season, so maybe they don't belong here. But Shelton at 6-4, Cheshire at 6-4. I mean, those are really kind of the only outlet. They're still good, decent 6-4 teams. But New Canaan here, St. Joe. I mean, it's not as strong as the division we thought it might be. Based on 21 standards. But still, you got Maloney, you have St. Joe, 2 of the top teams, and then New Canaan there with that great defense. It's going to be really tough. But anyway, starting off with that, I'm going to go with St. Joe as well. I think Cheshire. It's Matt Jeffrey. If he can do things, maybe they'll have a chance. But it's hard. It's hard when it's kind of you're relying on one guy to make all the big plays. Cheshire's going to need a lot more than that. They have a couple guys on defense. I thought the defense played really well against Southington. They have a great D end, and they have a pretty good defensive line. But St. Joe, like you said, just too many weapons. We're going to go with the Hogs.
All right, now we got Naugatuck at New Canaan. Naugatuck has not won a playoff game since the playoffs expanded in 1995. The Greyhounds, they're going to New Canaan. I was at the Naugatuck Darien game. I forgot what year it was, 2014. 2015. Jason Bradley was the quarterback for Naugatuck. It rained. They couldn't throw. Darien just demolished them. And I believe Naugatuck lost to New Canaan the year before in the state playoffs as well. NVL teams that aren't in Class S have not had a lot of success, which I think it might only be Naugatuck, but not a lot of success playing against some bigger schools or same-size schools from bigger, better conferences. I know New Canaan's offense has been really kind of not great this year, but the New Canaan defense is so good. I'm going with the Rams to advance, and I think we're looking at an FCX semifinal here.
We're definitely looking at an FCX semifinal. Look, I love Mike Dieterbaum, Caden Martin, and
Jed Hall.
Jed Hall. Those are great weapons, but only scoring 10 points against Ansonia. I know Ansonia's defense is excellent, but that was a little disappointing. It must have been for Coach Anderson and the guys. They're going to have to do a lot better that against a defense that's probably even better than Ansonia's. I'm going with New Canaan. I mean, the offense has been really struggling the last couple of years, but defensively, no one's been better. Maybe except for Fairfield Prep. I'm going to go with the Rams. All
right, now we got New Milford, the Darlings. I mean, they have to be the Darlings this year.
The Darlings,
Sean Murray has done such a great job. Darnell Bronson is legit, the sophomore quarterback, and they get to make the playoffs for the first time ever. Hooray! Now go up to Falcon Field and play the defending Class L champions in Maloney. Yeah. Sean, I'll let you go first on this one. Does the magic continue for the Green Wave, or is Maloney just standing in the way?
I don't see them topping. Maloney's got far too many weapons right now, and I think New Milford's time is in future seasons. Bronson's only a sophomore, and I think they're going to be back. They're starting to make this move up the ladder here, and maybe challenge Mask and Newtown. They got to find a way to beat those teams in the regular season. But Maloney is just so good at their own field. It's kind of have a chip on their shoulder after losing the Glassware. I like the Spartans doing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm going with Maloney. I know I've picked against them recently. You like that? You like that fake? That's for all my Maloney listeners. Now, like you said, Maloney has a lot of weapons. Dante Kelly, Josh Boganski, Kyle Valentine. They just got guys. I'm not even listing like half of them. They just have a lot of guys. I'm going with Maloney. Kevin gets his guys up for big games. This is a big game. And whoever Maloney gets next in the semifinals is going to be a really, really big game. And coming from the winner of the next game we're going to pick is who they'll get, and that's between Shelton and Newtown. They've played this game. They didn't play in the regular season this year.
No.
But they have played in past regular seasons. Last year they did. They definitely played in 2019 in the regular season. I believe I was at both of those games. Shelton limping in here at 6-4.
Yeah.
I saw them against Xavier on Tuesday, and I did not leave impressed. I mean, they won the game. They got guys, but it was Xavier. Like, they could have put him away, and Xavier fought back, held strong in the game, made it close at one point, and Shelton was able to pull away, but the best Shelton team since Dan Orlovsky was not on that field that day. I mean, I got Newtown in this game. I think Newtown is just playing so well. They've won 9 in a row. They have a lot of guys. Andrew Swibert, we just wrote about last week. He's really good. Dylan Magazoo is awesome. They're going to have to go to Blue and Gold Stadium. It's actually a pretty short ride for them, so it's actually not the worst thing in the world. But I'm going with Newtown. I just think Newtown is the better team right now, and they're playing better. And Shelton needs to play 60 full minutes to win this game, because you can't leave the door open against a team like Newtown. They're going to kick it right down, and I'm going with Newtown.
I think Shelton, I think they've really been trouble with injuries. In fact, I think since Eric Becker said they was the best team since Danny Orlovsky, best Shelton team since Danny Orlovsky, I think they're 4-4 since then. I think they were 2-0 at the time, if I remember correctly. But hey, listen, sometimes the injury bug hits you hard, and I know Shelton's been dealing with it. The Fairfield Prep game, I know that was a big disappointment for them, and the West Haven game, they felt they were right in there. It's been a team that's been on the cusp, and kind of limping in, like you said, at 6-4. Maybe they do. I mean, listen, they're Shelton. They should be able to beat Newtown. They can beat Newtown. I just think Newtown, this is Newtown's time. Remember, Newtown could never beat Shelton, even with Ben Mason on the team, went to Michigan. But now the tables have kind of turned here. Newtown beat them on the way to the state final that year. I think Shelton beat them last year, if I was correctly. I don't think it was a great Newtown team, but I do think this time, I think they've matured. I think it's a little bit of a better team. I'm going to go with the Nighthawks.
All right, now we got the last division, the big one, the Class L tournament. We got number 8 Trumbull going to Fontana Field to get the number 1 Blue Knights. Number 5 Fairfield Prep on the road at number 4 Staples. Congratulations, Staples. You beat Greenwich. You get the hottest team in the state in Fairfield Prep. Number 6 Glastonbury at number 3 West Haven, and number 7 Hamden going to play number 2 Greenwich.
This is a strong division, but I can't help but think when I look at this, it's like last year. It's like the all FCIAC. It's like every good team in the FCIAC is in the playoffs. Like, did the regular season mean nothing? And that's what I hate about all this stuff. The regular season's almost comical now. You just need to compile just enough wins. And if you lose a couple games, no big deal. And I guess like coaches love that. But I feel like there's got to be, if I beat a team in the regular season, why do I have to possibly go beat them again to win a state championship? That's what I can't stand about this. Luckily, we don't have any rematches here, really. We don't have any rematches here, which is great. And a lot
we could get a rematch in the finals if Southington or Staples plays against Greenwich. But we could get Hamden West Haven in the second round.
We could get Hamden West Haven in there.
Or Prep West Haven, Prep Hamden in the finals.
There's possible abilities.
Potential, but not in the first round, so that's good.
Lucky the things shook out the way they did. So, anyway, that said, let's start.
All right, we got number 8 Trumbull at number 1 Southington. I've seen both these teams a handful of times. Trumbull was in control against St. Joe's, up 14-3 on St. Joe's in the second half. Then St. Joe's did St. Joe's thing, scored a touchdown, got an interception, scored a touchdown. All of a sudden, they're up 17-14 going into half. Trumbull is its own worst enemy. They fumbled. Against Staples, they turned the ball over 2-3 straight drives. All of a sudden, they're playing from behind. They were able to come back, scored late. Staples went right down the field and scored again and won. And then got to pick off to end the game. Trumbull against Greenwich. They get the ball. They go right down the field. They score. You're like, oh, Trumbull up 7-0. Nope, coming back on holding. Settle for 3. Greenwich took control of the game the rest of the way. Trumbull's got talented players. Hunter Agosti, Ben Carley, Rowan Johnston, Jordan Black. They have talent. And then on the other side, it's Southington. Southington has rallied from that loss to Maloney, a game that Mike Drury, I'm sure, would love to have back. And I would, if they play tomorrow, it's going to be another classic, I think. But Lincoln Cardillo is legit. CJ DiBenedetto, legit. Williams, your boy, he had a great start to the year, kind of fell off a little bit, getting hot at the right time. John Flynn, super talented. They got guys. There's a lot of talent on this field in this game. I just think, and this pains me to say it, pains me to do it. They might take away my beach pass, but I'm going with Southington.
Yeah, look, I think Trumbull could definitely win this game. I don't think there's a favorite great team in this whole state this year. Number one, has changed hands 100 times, it feels like already. I thought Southington played very well and disciplined. They were sick as dogs. Everyone likes to call each other dogs. Like, he's a dog. He's a dog. Hey, what do you think of?
He's got that dog in him. He's got that dog in him.
What do you think of Ray Williams? He used to be a dude, right? Back in like the day, like 10 years, whatever, 8 years ago, 7, 5, whatever it was. He used to be a dude. Now you're a dog. If you're a good player, you're a dog. Ray Williams, he's a dog.
He's got that dog in him. He's got that dog in him.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with Southington here. I think they get over the sickness, and Lincoln Cardillo might be the best player, overall player in the state. He was punting. He was, catching TD passes. Kid's a specimen. He's gonna make a college program look really good. I'm gonna go with Southington.
Yeah, this game, I think a lot of these games in Double L could be coin flips. This is one of them. All right. Next up, we got number 5 Fairfield Prep, the hottest team in the state, the team that I would not want to play, the team that Tom Dyer said on this show he did not want to see again. Fairfield Prep, they're going to Westport for number 4 Staples. Staples 9-1. Their only loss was to St. Joe's. That game kind of got away from them.
Yeah, it was 42-14.
Yeah, but it was
21.
close for most of it, right?
Yeah.
It was close. But, they got dudes, Staple, Tyler Clark. I mean, he might be the best receiver in the state.
Like he's got player of the year. He's got he's got a shot. He's like in that category right now.
Yeah, and you didn't say that about Cardillo?
I mean, yeah, him too. I mean, I kind of assumed you guys knew what I meant. But yeah, he's been
Tyler Clark. Caleb Smith is setting Staples passing records. James Hillhouse is a really good number 2. Michael Nealon on defense. I feel like I'm re-saying the same names each week for Staples, but each week those guys are stepping up and making plays. And Fairfield Prep, I mean, they are just not one great dude or not one great dog, but a lot of good players that are playing really well. Tanner Langus, their linebacker, I love watching him play. The running attack is just so strong. Tyler Smith can move in the pocket. I don't want to play Fairfield Prep right now if I'm anybody. And I'm going with Prep in this game because I think right now they're playing like the best team in the state. And if they weren't 7-3, I'm sure they might be the number 1 team in the state.
Yeah, it's really weird. They lost to Beelan Prep to start the year. Then they lost to New Canaan in a game that was, there was like the clash of defenses. And then they lose to then they lost to Hamden in a game that they just let go. And they had to come back, and then Hamden just kind of shocked them. That was a big win for Hamden. And then Fairfield Prep they have not lost since. And I think they figured out what they were. They were a defensive team that needed their offense to play just well enough and then run the ball, clock control just enough to let the defense and special teams too. They can score touchdowns as well, do their thing. Now, can they stop Clark and the rest of the wreckers? Listen, I've been riding Fairfield Prep all year. They're reason why I'm number 1 in the picks right now because I've picked them against some of the big teams, West Haven, Shelton. I think I might have picked them against, but whatever it was, I've been on the Fairfield Prep chain. I'm gonna go with Fairfield Prep too. I know it's at Staples. It's like a big lacrosse rivalry there. I got a lot of Tyler Clark and all those guys, a lot of lacrosse guys there, and but it's going to be, I think defense is going to win the day here. I think I think Staples will give them a fight. It's going to be down to the wire. It might be one of the best games of the night.
That's what I was going to say. I think this might be the best game of the quarterfinals. But yeah. I'm going with Prep too. I mean, I could honestly get all of these wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised. All right, next up, we got number 6, Glastonbury at number 3, West Haven. Glastonbury, they're here. Jack Patrone, dude.
Defied expectations.
They have. I thought they were paper tigers. All right, especially after they lost to Hall. But they've rallied. You know, they lost to Southington, came back, beat Maloney, who was number 1. Jack Patrone is a dude. They finally put their stats up on Max Preps. Thank you so much, Glastonbury. And let me tell you, Jack Patrone has stupid stats. So thank God, because now we know. We knew he was good, but now we see the stats, so it definitely helps. They got West Haven. West Haven licking their wounds after a bad game against Fairfield Prep. In this one, I personally think the Westies rally. I'm picking West Haven in this one. I think they got the dudes to stop Patrone and kind of try and take him out of the game and force Glastonbury to beat them with their other guys. And I think that's going to be enough for West Haven to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard getting Patrone to get him in space there to do some things. West Haven's defense, especially up front, is very tough. And
they're so fast.
And then you have Conlon, too, and they're so fast. I don't think Glastonbury's seen anything like that. I'm going with Westies.
All right, I obviously agree. All right, so now it's the last game. We made it through 24 games.
23. This will be 24.
This will be 24. This is the most games we're going to pick all year. I thought last week picking 20 Thanksgiving games was much. All right, number 7, Hamden, going to number 2, Greenwich. If we had to pick this game 3 weeks ago, I would have been not as confident in my pick as I am now. I'm going to go with Greenwich. I think Greenwich, they're a candidate for the number 1 team in the state. And they lost to Staples. That's a great win for Staples. And Greenwich also lost to someone else, and I'm not thinking of who they lost to. Southington. I was there. So Greenwich has 2 losses by 2 points. Yeah. They lost by 1 point to Southington, and they lost by 1 point to Staples. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot I was at that game, but I'm going with Greenwich. They have Consberg, how do you pronounce his name? Bomalakis. Right, Jack Wilson. We don't really talk about Jack Wilson that much. Charlie Dixon, the wide receiver. And my guy Galetta. And then we're not even talking about Dom DeLuca. They have so many guys. I'm going with Greenwich. I think Hamden, 8-0 start, 2 losses. They're a little banged up. Convincing win by Notre Dame. I thought Hamden would put up more of a fight. I did pick Hamden to win that game, so I'm a little disappointed.
Hamden put up a fight. Notre Dame scored a couple late, and then to pull that game out. But I was a little disappointed.
A little disheartened
as well.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go with Greenwich here too, Pete. Maybe Hamden's just kind of run out of gas here. Playing SEC Tier 2 schedule, not really maybe helping in this spot in these tough games. You could almost say the same thing about West Haven. This is where that comes through, I think, when you get to the playoffs. If you're battle tested, you certainly are going to be ready for this kind of stuff. Yeah, Hamden beat Fairfield Prep, and yeah, West Haven beat Hamden, but West Haven didn't beat Fairfield Prep, and now you start to feel teams, even where the backups have a little bit of experience playing those tough games, even in losses. I'm going to go with Greenwich. I think they bounce back nicely here. We see a Greenwich-West Haven matchup, which would be very interesting on the 20th anniversary of the 2002 game. I don't know how they have played since then. There was a 2013 and I think a 2014 matchup there as well. And I think Greenwich won those too. But anyway, that's I'm going to go with Greenwich here. Just far too many weapons, and Hamden, great season. Unfortunately, going to end short of advancing to the semifinals.
Well, this was a boring show because we agreed on every game.
Really?
No.
Oh, man.
We've been doing this way too much because we are on the same thought process. Obviously, it's the quarterfinals, and there are usually a lot of blowouts in the quarterfinals. Again, I did go 16-0 in the quarterfinals last year.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening this year, but I think you and I are kind of on the same mindset of how these games are going to go.
Well, that's good for you because I usually do well in the playoffs. I usually do very well picking games, especially the final, so we'll see.
Yeah. I get weird in the finals. I'm like, what would be a better story? And then I end up going 1-3.
You just got to pick the team. You just got to pick the team has got it.
I went 4-0 in 2019 in the final, so you and I both did.
I always do really well. The only one time I didn't do well was I picked Seymour to beat Tallinn 49-0, and Tallinn was in that game. Tallinn in 2007, I think it was. And Tallinn was like, I remember telling the coach. The coach saw it. I forget who the coach was, and he was like, oh, you're Sean, okay. At the luncheon, that was hysterical, and I was just like 49-0 Seymour, because I don't believe in Tallinn. And Seymour was a great team back then, and Tallinn was right, and they only lost by 10. They had the lead with like 4 minutes left, and then Seymour tacked on a touchdown, and then they had maybe a field goal there, but it was close. So I had to eat my lunch on that one, but for the most part, yeah, I do pretty well picking finals. I mean,
right.
They're not. It's not complicated. You think that the team is really good.
Don't overthink it.
Anyway,
that's what I try to tell myself. Hey, take us home, man. It's your show.
Oh, this is so for Pete Pagwaga, I'm Sean Patrick Boley. This has been the P Page Views Pick'em Podcast and Meat Grinder all rolled into one in a nice sausage. This has been our show. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Love you all.